Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in the words of the Mesillas Yesharim. And yesterday the Ramchal taught us that a hardy person, what we call a Bal Gaiva, although he tries to conceal his hardiness from the world, he tries to make people think that he's really an Anav, he's a humble person, eventually, says the Ramchal, the hardiness and the conceited spirit which he really has inside of him is going to express itself in ugly ways, even though he tries to hide. Nevertheless, if in reality he's a Bal Gaiva, he struggles with his own hardiness, certainly, although he looks like he's doing humble things, in the end he's going to get caught. And here he brings a mashal. Chazal have already given us a parable to this. Mashal l'bayis malei tevin. It is the parable of a house which is filled with straw. Now, from the outside, this grand, beautiful house that people saw, they thought that it must be filled with treasures and expensive things. But in reality, it was filled up with straw. And inside of this house, there were cracks and crevices, and the straw was filling up inside of there. After some amount of time, so the straw that was in those cracks and the crevices of the house, it began to burst out and protrude outside of the house. So everybody now knew, everybody knew that this house, which they thought was made out of, which was filled with gold and silver and jewels and all expensive things, now they realize it's not filled with expensive things. It's filled only with tevin, with straw. The Kain Hadavar Zeh, says the Ramchal, this is the way the life of a hardy man is going to go. He cannot conceal himself constantly. Eventually, his bad thoughts, his evil thoughts are going to be nicker, they'll become apparent in the actions that he takes. Rather, he does falsified humility, and he's very tricky and submersive over here in that which he is doing, and therefore he tries to conceal it. Nevertheless, just like the straw ends up protruding from the cracks in the house, so too his gaiva, his hardiness, is going to end up protruding from the humility that he tries to feign. Says the Ramchal, there's one other category of people that are infused with this trait of hardiness. There are people that they do a very good job of concealing the gaiva, the hardiness in their hearts completely. It never rears its ugly head outside. They can't find even a crack for the straw to protrude through. However, but they think and they believe in their hearts. They believe in all honesty that they are the wisest of all men. They are the ones who are able to understand and know things in truth. There's not many people in the world, perhaps they would even think in the history of all of mankind, that is as wise as they are. Therefore, they don't listen to anything that anybody else has to say. They say to themselves like this: whatever is difficult for me to understand, I have to struggle sometimes to really use my mind to understand what's going on over here. Certainly, it doesn't come easy to others. And I must be the only one with my brain power, my intellect, that was able to understand this. And when they believe that they see things clearly, their seicha, their reasoning, their mind is able to see things in a clear and in a understandable light. They say, yeah, that's obvious. That's obvious to me, not obvious to you, nor to anybody else. And therefore, I have the brains and the mental capacity that can understand things incredibly. Nobody else that I know around me has the same kind of brain power and intellect that I have. And therefore, what I had to work hard on, I work hard on and I acquire it. Nobody's going to reach that. And what's clear as day to me, because it comes naturally to me. That's how it is, and therefore, if somebody wants to come and argue on that, which to me is clear, which to me is understandable, and there's no room to argue on such a thing, so I'll scoff at them and I'll laugh. Who do you think you're talking to? Till he gets to the point where he never even doubts that what he thinks or what he says is right. He never even acknowledges the opinions of others that are arguing with him. And whether they are the earlier commentaries, the earlier sages, or achrayim, they're the later sages. The suffix eretzam al sfarasam says the Ramchal that the man of gaiva, the woman of gaiva, of haughtiness, she doesn't suspect, or he doesn't suspect at all, that what they're saying might be wrong. You'll tell me the Ramban says differently than you. You'll tell me that there's a Rashi in Chumash that says the exact opposite of the way that you are thinking right now. Who's Rashi? What does he know? You're telling me that there is a statement of Chazal, the sages, they wrote in a midrash, an idea that is counterintuitive to the way that you lead your life. What the Chazal, what do the sages know over here? The Horowitz Chaim, he says that Lashon Hara is such a bad thing. He spent 20 years of his life writing the Sefer of Sefer Horowitz Chaim to make sure that people would guard their tongues from Lashon Hara. What's the big deal? You speak a little Lashon Hara, and no one's going to be the worst for it. A person like this, Azabal Gaiva, such a haughty person, he simply cannot see, hear, or live a life of truth, because he's consumed and he's enraptured in his own world of sheker, of falsehood, which emanates and which is motivated by his life of gaiva, of haughtiness. Have a wonderful day.